One, we are ranking blind when we return.
Welcome to the Devy Devotional Podcast, a show devoted to college prospect evaluation with a fantasy football focus. With your hosts, John Arrington, Aaron Wilcox, and Andy Starr. This podcast brings you actionable strategies and player-driven analysis for your Devy, C2C, and Dynasty leagues. Let's dive in.
Let's dive into episode 101. Welcome into the Devy Devotional, where we stay devoted to Devy. I'm your host, John Arrington, joined as always by Aaron Wilcox and Andy Starr. That's at Aaron Wilcox 86 on Twitter. I've said that a million times and somehow I screwed that one up. And that's at A Star FF on Twitter as well for Andy. Tonight, like I said, we're gonna be doing something a little different, having a little fun. Maybe not as actionable as most of our pods are. We pride ourselves on giving a lot of actionable intel and info and everything. But tonight we're gonna have some fun, play some games, maybe screw with each other a little bit. So we'll see how it all goes. But we're gonna do some blind rankings for each position in Devy. But obviously there's a lot going on right now. We actually just got some big news. We don't normally do the big news and notes and everything for college purposes and Devy purposes, but we just got some big transfer portal news that we found out about, and there's a lot going on in college football. So we have a lot to talk about beyond just playing and having fun. But first, let's check in with the boys. Andy, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. Yeah, should be fun, right? We did the big blowout episode last week, and I think we'll, mess with each other a little bit with these blind rankings, which are always fun. And as far as like the transfer portal, we were talking about it earlier today. Like, it just makes sense. I remember the confusion last season where the transfer portal was open for some players, but then you had other players who were still in the middle of the college football playoff and couldn't really do anything. So now it kind of evens the playing field for some of those guys, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into the full news here in a minute, but first let's check in with Aaron. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. Just a rapid fire prep for tonight's game, back and forth, starting with Andy. Best food at the ball game, 1 through 5 rank. We'll go Andy, then John, back and forth. Where do hot dogs come in, Glizzies?
All right, Glizzies at a game. I'm assuming if this is a baseball game, I'm putting it at 1. I feel like I don't really order any other food at the ballpark, so I'm just gonna throw it at 1 right now because I can't think of anything above a hot dog.
I just went
Glizzies
to
at 1. Wow.
I just went to the grocery store and I walked in and they have like some BOGO items like at the front there. I don't know. Publix is obviously a little different than everyone, but we walk in, they have these BOGO items and they had hot dogs, and for whatever reason, I don't normally love hot dogs or anything like that, but it just sounded good, and I swear to God, we made them for lunch and dinner. Like we made 2 packs of hot dogs, and that was like all we had. It was so good. So I'm kind of right there with you right now, and I'm not even normally a hot dog guy, but I don't hate the one. I don't think I could have gone 1, but hey, it was Andy's choice, so I guess I'll make my own decision here.
Exactly, Andy's choice. So hot dogs come in as 1. Where does ice cold beer come in, John?
Ice cold beer. I mean, I guess I can't do 1. I mean, ice cold beer has to be. It has to be 2. It has to be 2. You can't get away with not having it. And the only thing you can say is obviously it's too expensive at the parks. But generally speaking, you just suck it up and do it anyway, or you pregame and you go crazy beforehand. But there's something about, especially if you have a hot dog or something, there's something about that ice cold beer that helps it go down.
It's a great pick there. I like it. Unless Andy has any interjections there, we're going to go to number 3, and that is popcorn. Come get your your salty popcorn.
Popcorn. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I didn't even think about beer. I was thinking just food items, but beer probably would have been number one had I known that that was an option.
Yeah.
Popcorn, I'm putting that at five. I feel like there's got to be two things better than popcorn. I might
Ooh, okay.
I'm leaning four, but I mean popcorn is just it's just popcorn. You're not, and it's like $10 at the stadium. I'm not
Yeah.
wasting my money on popcorn. I'm putting it at five.
All right,
I
fair enough.
honestly I've been to a lot of sporting events in my day. I don't think I've ever actually purchased popcorn at a sporting event. Obviously, at a movie or something like that, I've never done it at a sporting event. So I'm 100% in agreement here. Five.
Okay, popcorn's dropping down at 5. So far it's hot dogs 1, ice cold beer 2, and popcorn at 5. So next up, John is up. Where do peanuts come in?
Oh, peanuts are terrible. They should be negative 54. Oh man, peanuts are four. I mean, they should be five, but they're four. I want nothing to do with them. They take forever. They're not even good. It's just one of those things where like I have like a actual disdain for peanuts and the peanut flavor and stuff like that. But honey roasted peanuts, that's a completely different story. But they're not selling honey roasted peanuts as far as I know. They're just selling regular plain peanuts, and that's not what I want.
That's very true, and that's fair. That would have been my 5 if I had all the options in front of me, right? So last one, Andy's with the last remaining option, I guess we'll say, and that is ice cream. Ice cream at the ball game.
I think ice cream's fair at three here.
Oh, that's
Better
a
than
solid three.
popcorn and better than popcorn and peanuts. Uh, Not as good as beer and hot dogs. So I think for
Like
the
the
most part we
tiers
got
here
it.
are insane. It's like,
Yeah,
like it's such a far drop off. Like you get to three and you're like looking up at one and two, like what the hell? And then you get down
yeah.
to four and five, and it's just like, can you hear me down there?
We got the tiers right. Like we got the tiers right. So that's
Yeah,
good.
there we go. Nice work, guys.
See, this could be fun. Hopefully, it'll be that easy. Although we did technically screw it up, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like a terrible screw up. So hopefully, we can do the same thing with the players here in a little bit. But like I said, we're not normally the news and notes show, but I do think the transfer portal news that we heard about today, that really just a little bit ago, is big enough that we should probably discuss it because I think it's going to have some pretty big. Uh, Changes for college football and for everything that's, compared to what we've been dealing with, which has kind of been like the Wild West of you have three different opportunities for players to leave teams throughout the season. Obviously, well, two that are available for everyone, and then obviously if a coach leaves or a coach gets fired or suspended or whatever, then now there's another opportunity. Well, now there's only going to be one time period. And I believe it's a 2 week or 15 days from beginning January 2nd, and 15 days from there. And that's going to be the only transfer portal window in the entire college football season. I think that's going to be a pretty big deal. I mean, it's going to be a big change from what we've seen recently, where just anyone can leave when they want to, how they feel, and just now players are going to really have to actually make a decision, think about this, think it through, and do all that. I think it's going to help the players when it's all said and done because we've seen some players transfer that probably shouldn't have, just because maybe they could or whatever, or maybe they were pissed off that week or whatever it might have been. But I think it's also going to help us as analysts not have to try to comb through as much craziness as we've dealt with in the past, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Are they still allowing it for the coaching changes? I feel like that's not going away,
Yes,
is it?
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Players they get a 15-day window to enter the portal after the new
Right.
coaches hired after a firing or something like that.
Start.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so they get that window, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. But the spring window always kind of upset me a little bit because you go through all of spring and you feel like you've got a feel of like what the depth chart is going to look like, and then there's always two or three curveballs with like higher end players moving in there and kind of shaking things up. So I think it's better for the sport in general, just to kind of limit some of the chaos that's been going on. And I do think in the long run, it probably does help the players because there is some benefit to, having longevity and stability, and it kind of takes the decision making out of their hands to some extent, which sounds like a bad thing, but I think for a lot of the players that were, operating that spring window, it might not be a bad thing. Um, and there's always the portal's open every single year, so eventually everyone's going to have an opportunity to do it should they decide to do it. But this just makes it clear, this is your time to do it.
Well, I think, like you said, the big deal now is you're not going to have like when Ohio State was talking about like Devin Brown and Julian Sayin and players like that, like competing against each other, and then they're like, well, they're not they're not committing to a QB because they don't want one of the QBs to leave. And, that might not even be a good example because Devin Brown's not good at football. But, like there's obviously a lot of teams that are doing that and playing those games and stuff. They won't have to play those games anymore. I mean, if they are doing that. So I think it's a lot easier to just say, hey, like we can move around, we can do whatever we want in January, but we're not waiting around trying to see if we get a starting position or not, and then going along with that.
Felix Sharp, friend of the show, in the chat, talking about player freedom of movement equals chaos. He's thinking that based on what we're saying. I actually, I'm not going to say that I have like a strong opinion either way. I kind of liked, honestly, multiple opportunities for kids to kind of go and change things up if they're not getting a fair shot or this or that. Like, I didn't mind it the way it was, but at least, now it's just one set window. I think the timing of it's kind of strange. Isn't it right after the quarterfinals? So it's not after the championship game in college football, but it's prior to that. It's kind of a weird timing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's
it
like
is what it
you
is,
get
I
some
guess.
of your big bowl games, but not necessarily the biggest bowl games, anymore. Now that they've changed everything up, so yeah, I guess it's for most players they'll be done. Obviously, there will be some.
And I wonder if because I feel like they still allowed some of those players that were in the college football playoff to enter the transfer portal after the games were over last year.
I think you're right,
despite the window being closed. So I wonder if they'll make an exception for those players again. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
And going back to what Felix said, I mean, honestly, I do think it became chaos. And I don't think I have no issues with like Aaron was saying, like kids doing what's best for them, and if it's school related, if it's playtime related, whatever. Like I really don't mind it, but I really feel like we just got to the point where it was like, oh well, this isn't exactly what I thought it was gonna be, so I'm gonna leave now. And like I'm not even saying that they shouldn't have some kind of freedom, but I just think now you'll have to actually make a choice and make an educated choice of, am I going to the right school or am I not? And then you're not going to be able to just get away with, oh well, now I'm pissed off this week, so I'm leaving.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that I saw somewhere 1,100 FBS scholarship players enter the transfer portal in April alone this year. So that's just a ton, right? Flooded the market there. And obviously a frustrating thing for coaches and people on the staff and all that. But I like some freedom for the kids, so I don't know. I'm on the fence with it, but it is, I guess, a notable news item here to at least discuss for sure.
Newsable, yeah. I will say, and I don't know. I probably shouldn't even defend the coaches or whatever, but I see it from a coach's perspective where you're putting all this time and effort into trying to build a team, and then someone just leaves because they're not exactly happy with being the backup or possibly being the backup or whatever it is. I see it from that perspective, but I guess I also see it from the kids' perspective. But we're still giving them the freedom to leave. We're just saying, you're not going to do it after we spent 3 months working on you, that kind of thing. So I'm okay with it, but we're not the news and notes show, and especially this one in particular. We're here to have fun. So enough with that stuff. Why don't we, if I can find it, I got to get rid of all these videos. There's just way too many. Why don't we dive into Debbie? Alrighty, we are going to do three blind ranking drafts here. We're going to do the three different positions. Each of us is going to get one of those. I guess we're going to start off with Aaron asking Andy, I believe, and I don't remember. Were you asking him about running backs?
Sure, I'll go first. I will ask Andy five running backs here. He's not going to know these names in advance. He's just going to give me, similar to our game that we played at the beginning, just going to give me a ranking gut reaction type of thing. So, should be fun, a little bit of chaos here. But shall we start?
I think I'm ready.
Andy thinks he's ready. Let's go. Freshman breakout, De'Aaron Hill, running back out of Oregon.
Oh man, I like De'Aaron Hill. I group him with a lot of guys though that are. I don't know. See, this is tough already because I don't know who else is going to be on this list, but I feel like De'Aaron Hill could safely be my fourth pick. I think there's going to be three guys better than him, but I don't think he'll be the worst on this list. So I'm gonna put him in right at 4.
Very solid call there. How about we go next with talented running back, second-year player, Caden Durham, running back at LSU.
Oh
Kind
man,
of struggling this season.
That's a
yeah.
tough one.
So I'm gonna give Caden Durham the benefit of the doubt with whatever injuries he's been dealing with, and kind of fall back on what we saw from him as a freshman. But I definitely can't put him high on this list. I don't think he's gonna be the worst. I probably, if I had to do it over, I might switch him and De'Aaron Hill right now. But for now, I'm gonna put Caden Durham at 3. I think
Okay, okay,
he's
Caden.
gonna have a bounce back at some point. We just have to wait and see when that happens.
That's fair. The guy's super talented.
We gotta wait and see who else is on this list. But so far, I like your calls. I like 3 and 4 here.
Okay, okay. Well, how about Bryson Washington, Baylor running back next?
All right, Bryson Washington is having a good season. He had a solid freshman season as well. So I wouldn't have, like, if you would have told me before starting this, like, Bryson Washington could potentially end up as the number 2 player on this list, I probably would have been upset with that result. But he's having a good year. Big time run rates there. Size is there. Do I think you're gonna give somebody better than that though? Is the question. I'm gonna put him at 2. I'm gonna put him at 2 because I think you're gonna throw somebody better than Bryson Washington. You have to. There has to be somebody. I'll put him at 2.
Okay, okay. Bryson Washington at 2. I am going to throw you somebody maybe better. Probably better. Ahmad Hardy here, Missouri
All right.
running back, breakout from G5 to the P4 level this season
Yeah.
at Missouri.
And my
Is that
apologies
tier
to Ahmad Hardy. I feel like I've already apologized because I did not believe in the hype coming over from what was it, UL Monroe, wherever he came from
Yeah,
last year. So
yeah.
the big time run was not there when he was playing at UL Monroe in a lower conference. It is there now that has moved to Missouri. I think between him and Bryson Washington, you could kind of go with either one for 1 or 2. So I don't hate putting him at 1 right now. So I'm fine with it. Throw him at 1.
Okay, so the 5 slot remains.
Oh man, I'm
And
scared now. I'm scared for him.
Jeremiah
I
Love.
think he made a mistake. I think he made a mistake, and we'll go into it at the end. But we'll see who it is.
we'll see. And it is stud freshman, but limited sample size, Bo Jackson, freshman running back at Ohio State at
See,
number 5.
Yeah, I probably would have put Bo Jackson higher than 5. I probably would have. If I have Caden Durham right now, I would be moving him for Bo Jackson if I could. But I don't think anybody who has Bo Jackson is going to be doing that. But such is the blind rankings life. But that's how it shakes out.
Right, it's a tough game, and I think you did your best with it. I think Ahmad Hardy ended up at number one, and right now that's fair. So
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not a bad list by any means, but I think I I mean I said I was happy with your 3 and 4, which is fine. Going along with that, I still think with what Bryson Washington has done so far this season, everything's actually a little worse than it's been in the past. I think I would have put him at 5. Not saying that I actually have him behind Caden Durham or uh, what was the other one? Oh, De'Ara Hill. I'm not necessarily saying I have Bryson behind those guys, but just knowing what we knew and that kind of stuff, I think I would have put Bryson at 5, which then you would have been able to put Ahmad at 1 and then Bo Jackson at 2. Although you might have put Ahmad at 2 at that point, and then you would have had Bo Jackson at 1, which doesn't sound right either. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryson's improved since last year. I know I said his freshman. I think it was a redshirt freshman year last year, but I mean, from a big time run rate, he's doing better this year. Not catching the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, he's catching the ball more, but he's also involved in more passing plays. So his like yards per route run is down. But at that point, it doesn't really make that much of a difference for me because he's already shown that he can catch the ball. So I'm not too worried about that. I think he's fine at 2, but had I known Bo Jackson was going to come, I probably would have not been so bullish on Caden Durham. I probably would have just dropped him at 5 at that point in time. But I really thought Aaron was going to throw me some stinker in there at some point.
we're being nice to each other tonight. No, no true stinkers, I suppose. But yeah, I mean Bryson Washington, it's not like he's not going to wow anybody. I think is probably the issue, right? He's going to be a solid back, but what's the upside there? I guess ultimately is a question. He's going to get you solid volume. He's going to be good in CFF, C to C type of formats. He's going to get some goal line touches, enough, good workload, all those things. But yeah, how special is he as a player? But yeah, we're seeing like Kadem Durham, like supposedly a really special player, right? We liked him as a freshman breakout, and guy has just not been good this season for LSU, and you can blame a bunch of different things within the offense for that, and potentially some health-related issues for Caden Durham, but he has taken a fall versus De'Ara Hill, one of the most efficient and explosive running backs in the entire country, taking advantage of Oregon's kind of soft schedule thus far, of course, but at 5'11", 200-ish, like De'Ara Hill as a true freshman, really showing out at Oregon. I'm a big fan. Obviously, he's been kind of my guy as a sleeper in this class all along, and I'm happy to see him breaking out. So at 4 there, it's sad, but yeah, I think he'll start getting more and more respect this year for sure.
You know what I actually noticed earlier today, which is kind of funny, but it's also Fantrax. But I was looking at Fantrax and I happened to come across De'Ara Hill on one of my teams. I think I have him only in the one league, but they still, how they started doing projections this year. They still don't have him projected to score any points this week. And so I don't know if I don't think he's on a bye or anything like that. I just don't think they're projecting because they did have Jaden Lamar projected to score like 8 points or something like that. I also have Lamar on that squad, and so I just think it's funny. Like he's already done a decent amount. He's definitely moving up Devy Beth, and yet it seems like Fantrax is not willing to go too far in yet. Not once again, not saying that Fantrax is the end all be all, but they definitely are not. But I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, good disclaimer to not trust or I mean, not not trust the Fantrax projections because they'll tell you that Le'Veon Moss is going to score like 25 points. They'll also tell you that the backup quarterback for Army is going to score 25 points. Like, you got to do a little bit more. If it looks weird, then maybe look into it a little bit more. Malachi Hosley from Georgia Tech is another guy who currently never gets projected any points, even though he gets like 10 to 12 touches a game.
Nice. Yeah, I guess I've used it more just to like quickly scroll through players rather than like I'm not actually like counting on what the projection is, but as I'm just going through, if it says like 3.2 points or something, as a projection, I'll probably skip that guy for now, go to the next guy, and then I actually look more into it. But I guess it's been nice for that, but I'm not taking taking it too much to heart beyond that.
Yeah.
All right, so Andy's list, his final list. These are his rankings as he has it in in his rankings right now. Ahmad Hardy at 1, Bryson Washington at 2, Caden Durham at 3, De'Ara Hill Jr. at 4, and Bo Jackson. I mean, the guy just hates Bo Jackson at 5. Is it just because of the name? Like you just said, there's only one Bo. Is that what it is?
Yeah. And that Bo does not know. This Bo doesn't know. The other Bo
This
knows.
this Bo does not know. He does not know.
Yeah. No, it's a shame, but I don't hate how it ended up for me. I'm pleased with it.
I do not hate the list by any means. All right, I guess that means that you are up to question me, I believe.
All right. So I will be asking you quarterbacks, and that's all. That's all the information I'm going to give you. The quarterbacks. These are quarterbacks.
I mean, there's
that
so
play
many
college-
good ones. How could this possibly go wrong?
These are quarterbacks that play college football in America. And the first one that you're going to get to rank is Indiana's Fernando Mendoza.
Oh man. Okay. I think a lot of people would be leaning like 2 or possibly even 1, but I'm gonna try and play this one safe, and I'm gonna say 3. I'm I am not I'm not a true believer in Fernando Mendoza, although he is definitely moving up in Debbie Beth, but I think it's like a war of attrition kind of deal more than anything else. Like other people are moving down more so than he's actually moving up. So I don't. I'm not all in. In fact, I was just in one of my Debbie leagues. I was just trying to send a deal. I have Spencer Rattler that I got ridiculously cheap because it's an auction league. I got Spencer Rattler that I got ridiculous cheap, and I have Fernando Mendoza who I got for $1 out of $1,000 budget, and I'm trying to see if I can't send them to like level up my backup QB or my second QB or whatever, like do something because I don't necessarily want to hold on to these guys. So I'm trying to do that as we speak. So I feel like I'm pretty happy with Mendoza at 3. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's great. He's kind of right there in the middle for me.
All right, Mendoza at 3. Interesting. Getting a lot of first round hype, but we will move along. And the second quarterback for you is going to be Oregon quarterback Dante Moore.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, this one's tough. Man, I don't know why I agreed to do the QBs. This sucks. This is not
I kept
fun.
hoping for Aaron to say like, "All right, Jeremiah Love," and I'm like, "Oh, 1 easy." No, it's hard when you're in the thick of it.
Right. I'm gonna double down here. I've always I don't want to say always. I have been out on Dante Moore since he started playing at UCLA, and I have not been truly convinced by what he's done so far this season. He looked really good against poor defenses, and he looked okay against good defenses. I I don't hate Moore. I wish I'd probably left the 3 spot open, but I'm going to put him at 4.
All right, Dante Moore at 4.
Okay,
All right,
and those are 2 quarterbacks that I selected in last week's mock draft in the second round here. Listeners thinking like, oh, you guys did a mock draft? Yes, we did a, I guess, incoming rookie mock draft for next year. So just projecting
too
ahead to
early.
next year's rookie drafts. Way too early. Yes, rookie draft. So that was pretty fun last week in our 100th episode. So go back and listen to that if you didn't. That is a must listen to if you've enjoyed the podcast through the years.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we might be hearing some other quarterbacks that were drafted in this same blind ranking. We might. I don't know.
Oh, I'm so scared.
This next one we did not draft, but it is Texas quarterback Arch Manning.
Oh man. Uh, I I'm so scared of what you're gonna try and do at the end that I'm just gonna go ahead and play the game here. I think Arch is gonna figure this all out. I think this is a matter of him needing reps, and this isn't the Anthony Richardson. Oh, he just needs reps. Like I feel like Arch truly just needs reps and just needs playing time, and obviously needs a better offensive line. But I'm putting Arch at 1. He has not fallen off nearly as much as like people want to act. In fact, I was just showing. I have a friend of mine, a good friend of ours, Levi Valentine, who is a big Nebraska fan, and I was asking him like, well, would you rather have Arch Manning or Dylan Raiola? He's like, oh, Dylan Raiola by a million miles. And you know me, like I'm all about the big time throw rate and the intended air yards, and I compared the two, and I was like, you can't even like they're not even the same realm. I don't know how you could possibly say that you want Rayola over Arch Manning. I get it has not been perfect by any means, but Arch has fallen in Debbie Beth, but not nearly as much as what people would probably like make it seem like. And it seems like for every bad throw he makes amazing throw right after that. So I'm still kind of like holding out hope and doing the whole film grinder thing. He has the intangibles. He has, he has the arm strength and this and that. So I'm going film grinder here. I'm sticking with 1 for Arch Manning, even.
Yes, it's a very toolsy player.
Yeah.
The big time throw rate is still there, so we can always lean on that. Took a big L to your Gators last week, though. Oof.
He did, but I said it from like the first quarter. That was the Gators Super Bowl. I mean, like they they wanted that game more than Texas. It was just clear and obvious. And I mean, it seems so stupid. I don't know if it's like one of those play because your coach is going to get fired or whatever. But it's like now you decide to play. Where was this against USF a couple weeks ago?
Yes, Billy Napier refuses to die. All right,
He does.
number 4 for you, or the 4th person that you get to rank, is a guy we did draft last week, and you drafted him actually, and it's Duke's quarterback, Darian Mensah.
Okay. See, I was really scared of what you were going to give me, and I think now I played this right. I'm fine with Mensa at 2 because like I actually have Mensa at 1 right now. I drafted him in that draft, obviously at the beginning of the second round, I believe. So I have him at 1 right now, but it is the ACC. It is Duke. It's not. I don't want to say he's unproven, but he's not like truly proven or anything like that. So he could easily be my QB2 when it's all said and done. So I definitely don't hate that by any means. I guess technically, if you were asking me, I would have put him at 1, but yeah, I'm perfectly fine with him at 2.
Yeah. You did pretty well, I have to say. I could just lie and say that the 5th player was Lenoris Sellers, but I was trying to trick you. I did put Garrett Nussmeier as the 5th player.
Yes, I did it.
So,
I knew it. I 100% knew it, and I was like,
so
"There's
you
no
played the
way.
game
There's no
and
way
you
I
won.
could do it any other way."
But there you go. So Nussmeier is your 5th player. Somehow you did it. You pulled it off.
No, actually, I did not answer that one. I left 5 blank.
Yeah.
So
I figured it would have been funnier if you had Nussmeier at like 2 or 3 than, if you accidentally put Lenoris Sellers at 5. But alas,
man.
here we are.
I'm so proud of myself right now. Like I don't even know if I could have done that better. I guess like I said, if I had Mensa at 1, which is how I actually have it ordered. But this is literally, I'm looking at Debbie Beth right now, and this is literally how I have them ordered, except for Mensa at 1, Arch at 2. Like at least for the 5 players that you have here. I'm not necessarily saying 1 and 2 or whatever.
Yeah, I think I probably would bump Mendoza up over Arch at this point in time, just because we haven't seen it. There's an argument too for him and Mensa, but I like Mensa as well. I feel like he probably would be 1 on my list too if we weren't doing it blind. But I think at this point in time, I would put Mendoza above Arch, and then the last 2, I'm in lockstep with you. Dante Moore's he's climbing too, though. I don't want to discredit Dante Moore.
He is.
Certainly, he could move up as well.
He is, but I'm still happy with how I have it. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I just think it worked out perfectly that John's favorite guy, Garrett Nussmeier, fell to him at 5. Um, like John said, he couldn't have navigated that selection or that just sequence better. At least, for how he likes those players. In order. I definitely see some conflicting opinions just amongst the industry itself, right? I think most people would have Mensa a little bit lower, just being more hesitant on a guy like that. But I mean, he's balled out this season. We've heard about him on the podcast already this year. We like Darian Mensah at Duke. Arch, I know we tend not to over panic on a guy of that talent, though I do think it's kind of hilarious if you see that video of him playing against his high school competition on the timeline. Yeah, and it looked like it was like some teams like JV or something like that, like something I'd be playing against when I was in JV. That's crazy.
That was very bad. Very bad.
Right, very bad level of competition. So, is there a chance that he's just not actually that great of a guy? Propped up a little bit by the name and this and that opportunity, sure, but I don't think we can fully write him off. That's for sure. So I don't mind how you ended up there. Again, to recap, John was at Arch at 1, Arch Manning, Darian Mensah at 2, Fernando Mendoza, the breakout this year, at 3, Dante Moore, another guy who's been breaking out, at 4 for Oregon, and then Garrett Nussmeier at number 5, probably where he belongs here. So.
Yeah, and you were saying how Mensa's not really getting a lot of love right now, and I was talking to another DLF Devy ranker, and I believe his last name is pronounced Cretini, Joe Cretini, I believe. And I was talking with him earlier today, and he was like, not a lot of people are talking about Mensa, and I'm like, well, yeah. And then it reminded me when I did a DLF mock draft in the beginning of January. And at the time, Jackson Dart was considered a 3rd-round draft pick. That was in January of this year. Jackson Dart was considered a 3rd-round draft pick. So the fact that Darian Mensah is not getting a lot of love right now in October doesn't really blow my mind or scare me off of him or anything like that, because we would have assumed that Shedeur Sanders was going to be 101 and probably in January or February or something like that, and Jackson Dart was supposed to be a 3rd-round pick, so and now here we are. Shedeur Sanders will probably never touch an NFL field, barring something crazy, and Jackson Dart's already a starting QB. So I think a lot changes, especially with the QBs, and I'm not scared of being ahead of the game. I actually tend to do it a lot with these QBs, where I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'll go ahead and put my mark on it. And Aaron really made the call in the off season. If we I was thinking about that earlier too, not to go off on too many tangents here, but if we go down with, I had the Jordan Tyson take, Aaron has the Darian Mensah take of top 5 QB, and obviously he's blowing past that already, and then Andy has his Mekhi Hughes take. I mean, no one can ever doubt us again, right? No one can ever doubt this podcast ever again. You know where to get your takes, right?
I love it. And John has some guys here for me, I guess, as well. Is that correct?
I do have some, wide receivers for you, which should be a lot of fun, because there's a lot of new names, I would say, in the, we're trying to stick with top 25 guys here, not go too crazy or anything like that. And I would say, at least for me, there's a lot of newer names in the top 25, although there's definitely some names that have been there as well. But not going too crazy here. I'm not going to start you off with Desmond Roebuck that we were talking about earlier, Aaron, although I could have, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to say Jace Brown, wide receiver out of Kansas State. Where are you ranking him? Wide open top 5.
Okay. Desmond Roebuck would have been number 1, of course. No, he's kind of a deeper freshman breakout this season for Washington. But no, Jace Brown, guy that we have loved, I have loved, continue to be very high on him. And the offense is holding him back. He has not been particularly healthy this season either. At least there's been a stretch over the last 2-ish games where he's been banged up. But still very much a talented guy projecting to the NFL level. So I am going to have him at wide receiver 2 because I don't know how many great wide receivers John is going to feed me here. So Jace Brown is a top tier type of wide receiver in the college space and for prospect purposes. So number 2 for Jace Brown.
He had a very short or quick fall from that last week, that 0 from last week. He like it wasn't a substantial fall, but it was just enough to where I was like, oh no, where'd Jace go? But he's kind of right back up there. Not to say he has some amazing game or perfect game or anything like that, but he definitely showed that Jace is still Jace this past week, and so he's right back up in the mix, right where he should be. I love the player, and yeah, 2. I mean, going in blind. I mean, I think that shows how much Aaron appreciates Jace Brown. I don't think he's a player that consensus would call 2 here. I don't know if he's playing the game or if he's really just that big of a fan, but I tend to love it. So I'm gonna go. Ooh, all right. I'm gonna give you a tough one here because I feel like this is a player that you really like. I'm gonna go with Dallas Wilson, Florida Gators.
Ooh, I do really like Dallas Wilson. But I have to understand, we have extremely small sample size, 1 game of him looking really good and physically dominant, showing off some long speed, all that. The hype was immense, definitely in the spring, but then he was banged up to start the season, so we haven't really got to see him, and I haven't got to see that full, well-rounded, nuanced game. But I do think there is a ton of potential with Dallas Wilson. He cannot be higher than Jace Brown. Jace Brown has shown enough thus far where I think he's the superior guy, but the talent is off the charts. The potential is oozing for Dallas Wilson. I will have Dallas Wilson at 4, though, for the purposes of this game.
Ooh. I truly thought you were going to go 3 there. I really did.
I think 4 is the right call. Honestly, Jace at 2 was, might be a bit speculative, but it could be the right answer. Obviously, these are blind, but I feel like there's at least maybe not a handful of guys, but close to a handful of guys that I put above Jace. But it'll be interesting to see who else John throws out here.
I'm trying not to be mean or anything. I'm trying to stick, play fairly here. So I'm gonna give you, now that you have 2 and 4 filled up, I'm going to give you Deuce Robinson, Florida State.
Oh, that's a tough one. Because Deuce he's been pretty solid this year, just quietly, right? This has been an offense. Castellanos, I don't know how to describe him. Like, he's been efficient. He's made some big-time throws, but he also has low passing volume. He's disappeared in a couple of games, one of them due to injury or just getting banged up, but they haven't thrown the ball a ton. So, but all the metrics look pretty good for Deuce Robinson. We know that he's a natural athlete. He's got great size, maybe almost too big in some ways, like too tall. You kind of wonder how that's going to profile to the NFL level. But, yeah, guy has a lot of natural ability. Deuce Robinson. I'm going to go 3 here. I don't love it. I'm going to be honest. I don't love putting him at 3. No, I'm going to take it back. Can I take it back? Is it too late?
No, you can take
it back.
I'll take it back. Let's go 5. Deuce Robinson.
I think that's the move. That's the move. You just got to bite the bullet and say Deuce is at 5.
Deuce I will say, I feel like this last week, though, made a pretty big difference for him because they played a difficult team. Everyone's like, oh yeah, he can win against these crappy teams or whatever. They go over and play Miami, and yet he still had 70 yards and a touchdown or something like that. And then we got Brett in the chat, Brett Pagny, I hope. Maybe I'm overthinking this one, but we appreciate you. He says, hey guys, what is going on? Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Hopefully you're enjoying Aaron going back and forth, swapping players out of 3rd and 5th place and all that kind of good stuff. We'll have to wait and see if he made the right choice, though. But I I think, regardless of where you put him, I think he's starting to get more on people's radars, and we definitely could not say that at the beginning of the season. All right, here is player number 4, though, Mario Craver.
I do like me some Mario Craver. He was a guy I don't know if I have him. I think it's like 50% of my leagues. Like I'm a fan, but oh geez, I normally wouldn't have him ahead of Chase Brown, but I'm kind of tempted here. I just don't know what John's gonna pull on me. He's probably gonna. We agreed we weren't gonna be too mean, but back and forth with Mario Craver. I'm gonna go a 3 here and hope that John just throws me a nice guy, not a Nussmeier, but serviceable guy at the number 1. You really hate to leave that number 1 up to fate. I'm just trying to think of other top 25 guys, 25 ish. Oh, I really would not like some of these other guys. Yeah, I'll go 3. I'll go 3. Stick with it.
All right. So we got everything except for the 1, right? Everything except for the 1. That means Jeremy Bernard is Aaron's 1. His favorite wide receiver.
I took him in the mock draft last week. I am still a fan of his, obviously. I think I took him in the first, late first in our mock draft for this upcoming, rookie draft and everything. So Jeremy Bernard, Alabama wide receiver, kind of matching what Ryan Williams has done. Maybe not quite matching on a per game basis, but cumulatively during the season, basically matching him. So I like that. It could be worse.
It definitely could be worse. I don't think like if you put Deuce up there, then maybe we have to question some stuff. And but yeah, it definitely could have been worse. I think when it was all said and done, I guess. Where would you have done it who would you have put at 1 had you known the list?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that, and I'll ask Andy the same thing, like who he would have had number 1. I will be honest though, I thought you were gonna hit me with like a Denzel Boston for sure, and I was like, stuck with him at 1. But anyways,
I thought about but we said top 25, not top 125, so I couldn't do it.
I honestly, I would have Jeremy Bernard right up there. Him and Jace battling out for the number 1 with the guys that you listed off. Craver's not far behind, but I think the size thing is a little bit more of a limitation with Craver. There is some size questions with Jace Brown as well, but I think he's a little bit bigger, and Jace profiles still a little bit better than Mario does, but yeah, Mario's been a baller this year. I would have considered him as well, but I have Jace and Jeremy a little bit higher, so I'm okay with how it panned out. I have Jace slightly higher than Jeremy right now, but that might have to change. I need to do a deeper dive into Jeremy Bernard's film just to see how that nuance and dominance has gone, because he profiles a little bit more as like a traditional number 1 type of wide receiver at the NFL level, but we know how the NFL operates these days. Like the Jackson Smith and Jigbas and all those guys, they can be ballers and amazing producers for fantasy as well.
Yeah, I think, you asked me who I'd have at number 1. And I know I said earlier, like Jace at 2 was kind of a stretch, but out of this group, I think at the end of the day, I probably would put Jace at 1. Just because these are Devy ranks, he's the closest to the NFL. I like him a little bit more than I like Jeremy Bernard. I'd probably put Craver above Bernard, if I'm just looking at the guys. And then I think you had 4 and 5 dead. That was just correct with Dallas Wilson and Deuce Robinson. I was expecting at least like a Mekhi Lemon or a Carnell Tate or a Jordan Tyson to get thrown in eventually. So. I think how it played out, you got it right for the most. Like the top 3 is the top 3, and like you can make arguments for all of them. And then the bottom, I think 4 is clearly bad. Dallas Wilson, I would definitely have over Deuce Robinson, and Deuce Robinson's a clear number 5.
I think I think the whole like not having a Cam Coleman or Jeremiah Smith or whatever, I think is more of a testament to how much Debbie Beth loves Mario Craver, because Mario Craver is up there, like way up there in Debbie Beth, and so it's right or wrong. I guess we'll find out. He's obviously still young, and a lot could change and everything. But I'll tell you what, he has definitely risen quite a bit in Debbie Beth. But I don't have it too different than how you had it ranked. Although uh, Jeremy Bernard is actually, not to say he's fallen off or anything like that. He's obviously still in my top 25 overall. Like he's still a quality player, and I'm happy to have him on teams and everything. But his A dot is coming down a little bit, and that could be a Ty Simpson thing. It could be a him thing. I don't really know. But Aaron was saying how he's maybe more of the like a real X receiver, a full time wide receiver, that kind of thing. But like it seems like he's being used a lot more like slot wise or near the line of scrimmage and things of that nature. And so that's the kind of stuff that I love. Obviously, there's players that it does work out in the NFL. You see that, but then that reminds me of like a Lad McConkey, who just gets completely drafted over, replaced, and that kind of thing because there's only so many slot receivers in the NFL that are really going to be like true studs, and usually they're even the bigger slots when it comes to that kind of stuff, like your Amon Ra's and players like that can still play on the outside. So maybe Jeremy can be more like that. But I just don't like it when that A dot comes below or goes below 10. So he is falling down a little bit. But honestly, like I like all of those players, so I don't even know if you could have necessarily done anything wrong. But I think you did pretty well.
Well, thank you. And I think, yeah, some of that recent production, I mean, a little bit of a down game against Georgia, not last week, but the week before for Jeremy Bernard. Like, they just kind of blanketed him. He had 5 receptions for 35 yards. So, like, yeah, that's going to definitely kind of nuke that yards per reception and some of the downfield stuff, right? But the rest of the season, he's been breaking out some pretty nice long plays, but he hasn't really broken one of those 60, 70, 80-yard receptions. So still kind of waiting on that. So I definitely could see having Jace and Mario Craver ahead. If you look at the size thing again, 6'1", 205-ish for Jeremy Bernard, so solid there. Jace Brown's actually 6 foot, at least that's what he's listed in some different places online, but 180-ish pounds, so a little slimmer, right? And then Mario Craver, he's listed down between 5'9" and 5'10", and he's like 165 to 170 pounds. So I think that's the size thing. You had kind of mentioned, that like the downfield versus a slot guy and like who could get drafted over and this and that. I think that there's some concern there for like how Mario Craver ultimately is going to profile as he's like an outside type of receiver primarily, but how is he going to win at 5'9" at the NFL level at that weight as well? So I guess there are a little bit more questions for me from a translation standpoint with Mario Craver. Saying this as a guy who likes him, I mean that kind of hurts, but I just want to try to be as realistic and objective as I can with some of the limitations he's going to have translating to that next level. We've seen, really talented smaller guys at the college level, even efficient guys winning down the field, somewhat struggle at times in the NFL for various reasons. But we could see maybe a Hollywood Brown type of a career for Mario Craver, which would be good. I mean, I think Hollywood Brown is it's been an injury thing more than anything for him, but never
And
like
not
a
even
true
not
stud.
even size related injuries. It was like foot and ankle and stuff like that. That's not what we would attribute to. Oh, he's too small to play in the NFL. Things like that. So I don't. I mean, I like the comp as far as the player and everything, but I don't want people to be like, oh well, he's missed so much time. Like, there's no reason to truly believe that Mario Craver's just going to miss time because he's 5'9", 160 or 70 or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it will be a little bit harder for him to physically not. I'm not even saying like hold up from a injury standpoint, but just play wise too. Play strength and all the physicality that you get coming into the league. So we'll see. Maybe he is closer to the 5'10", and if he can, yeah, I mean, keep working on his game and really build that nuance. There's no reason why he can't succeed, but he needs to be either a freak athlete, like you're thinking Tyreek Hill, which I mean, he's a good athlete. I don't know if he's He's not that level, but or needs to be truly, truly nuanced, and he's still got a little ways to go. But there's no doubt Craver's a stud this season in college football for Texas A&M.
So I had someone who called me out on my Mario Craver rank at DLF, and they're just like, "What are you doing? Like he's just way too high." And I told them, I said, "All right, like every once in a while, if everyone's just out on a player, or if everyone says, oh, Aaron goes, oh, he's too small, he's not going to make it in the NFL, or he's going to have a harder time, I'll do a manual adjustment on a player." I did the manual adjustment on the player. He did not move in Devy Beth. He stayed in his exact same spot with the manual adjustment, and it's the largest, or it's the max manual adjustment that I'm willing to do, that I've done on any other player in Devy Beth ever. So I'm not going beyond that at this point. I'm just saying, what, like, let him prove us wrong, or let me be wrong, if that's going to happen. But right now, what I'm seeing, he's playing that much better than everyone else, and so I'm just not going to sit here and freak out about his size when he really hasn't given me a reason to, at least in college. But that was a lot of fun. I think we should definitely do that more often. The blind ranks and things. I think it was a good time of year to do it, because I mean there's so much changing. We've seen a half a season of college football. It's crazy that we're already at the halfway point here, and or at least for regular season. Obviously, we have a lot more games nowadays than we used to. Especially like going back to Beth and rookies and all that kind of stuff. Like it used to be, the majority of players played either 12 or 13 games. And now, you're seeing so many guys 15, 16, it's like, holy crap, and then, that's what is blowing my mind with players like Matthew Golden and players like that. It's like, you played 16 games and you didn't even break 1,000 yards, and yet you're going to get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. It just kind of blows my mind. But all that is being said, that was a lot of fun doing the blind ranks and everything. Hopefully, people enjoyed that, even if it wasn't maybe the most actionable rankings that we've ever put out. I promise you, we'll do more actionable rankings and info and all that kind of stuff on the next pod. Andy, I think I asked you for words of wisdom last time. So, Aaron, you got any words of wisdom for us before we get out of here?
No, I don't. But we did talk about having fun, and that is so important for everybody's life. I see it even in my career as a physical therapist. Sometimes we just gotta get out there and do something that we enjoy. And I see all sorts of people in aches, pains, deal a lot with chronic pain, those types of things. And it is so important to have some things that you just enjoy doing, have a little bit of fun, laugh, smile, be with people, do all those things in life. It really can make life that much more enjoyable. And speaking of enjoying things, let's enjoy some more football. We're in the middle of the college football season and NFL, so we've really got some prime games and some good rivalries forming within our leagues.
Yeah, absolutely.
49 days straight of football starts tomorrow.
Ooh,
49 straight days.
I love that. Yeah, in one of our league, 2/3 of us are in the playoffs as of right now. We'll see if the third can make it through and get up there in WU or not. We'll have to see. He was the champ before, but he's struggling a little bit this year. And he throws up his hands.
It's a rebuilding year. Sorry.
and Brett says thank you guys, and he agrees to have fun. We will leave it with that. Everyone go have some fun. Go enjoy watching some football, doing all that kind of stuff. And we are going to go enjoy the rest of our evening, and we are going to get out of here. We'll see you guys next time.